What drives someone to surrender everything, family, money, even their life, to a single leader? The faces of Jonestown and the Manson family haunt us, but these followers weren't born that way. They were searching for meaning and found it in a charismatic figure who promised answers and belonging. But behind the promises was a game of psychological warfare, waged inside the minds of the devoted. Cult leaders are not monsters from myth. They're people who master the art of control. We'll explore how Charles Manson turned lost hippies into killers, how Jim Jones led hundreds to their deaths, and how Keith Raniere built a corporate cult. Each story is a tragedy, but all share a common thread, a leader who weaponized the universal human need for meaning. Their tactics weren't always loud or violent. Sometimes they were as subtle as a nickname or a whispered secret. The line between a devoted group and a dangerous cult is thinner than we think. The psychological tools of cult leaders aren't confined to remote communes. They're present in politics, workplaces, and online communities. Understanding their dark psychology isn't just about the past, it's about recognizing manipulation in our lives today. The allure of the abyss is timeless, and the voices calling from its depths are always seeking new listeners. Let's pull back the curtain and see how reality can be bent by a single persuasive mind. Every destructive cult is built around a leader with a specific psychological blueprint. First, grandiose narcissism, a belief in their own divine importance. David Koresh didn't just teach the Bible, he claimed to be the final prophet. Second, an insatiable need for control. Cult leaders want possession, not empowerment. Keith Raniere's NXIVM bound followers with ranks and collateral. Third, paranoia. The world is divided into us versus them. Jim Jones warned of CIA plots, isolating his followers and tightening their loyalty. Fourth, obsession with apocalypse. Whether it's a race war or a spaceship behind a comet, the leader is the only savior. Fifth, sadism, disguised as spiritual growth. Raniere branded women as a test of commitment. Jones used public humiliation as purification. Every rule, ritual, and special jargon strips away autonomy, making followers dependent on the leader for reality itself. Paranoia isolates. Apocalyptic urgency justifies extremes, and sadism cements the leader's power. These traits aren't relics. They're alive in modern cults and manipulative groups everywhere. The cult leader's blueprint is a chilling study in the abuse of trust and the fragility of the human mind. Recognizing these traits is the first step in resisting their influence. The methods may change, but the psychology remains the same. Understanding this pattern is our best defense. Beware the leader who claims to be your only source of truth. Charles Manson wasn't a genius. He was a master manipulator of the lost. In the late 1960s, he gathered runaways at Spahn Ranch, creating a world detached from society. He controlled food, sleep, and especially drugs, using LSD sessions to break down egos and implant his own twisted philosophies. Manson's prophecy, Helter Skelter, predicted an apocalyptic race war, with his followers destined to rule the aftermath. He gave followers new names, erasing their old identities and rebirthing them as his creations. Love bombing drew them in. Public humiliation kept them desperate for approval. Emotional whiplash created a traumatic bond, making his approval everything. When the time came, Manson didn't need to force anyone to kill. He'd already rewritten their reality. The Tate LaBianca murders were not just crimes, but the ultimate proof of his psychological control. His followers believed they were on a holy mission, acting out Manson's apocalyptic fantasy. Manson's legacy is a chilling lesson in how identity and reality can be manipulated to deadly ends. Jim Jones began as a progressive church leader, offering community and social justice. But beneath the surface, he demanded absolute loyalty, isolating followers and insisting the temple was their only family. As his power grew, so did his paranoia and narcissism. He claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus and Buddha, staged fake miracles, and enforced discipline through public humiliation. In Jonestown, Guyana, the promised paradise became a prison camp. Hard labor, little food, armed guards, and Jones's voice blaring day and night. White knight drills rehearsed mass suicide, conditioning followers for the real thing. When Congressman Leo Ryan visited and threatened exposure, Jones declared the outside world was coming to destroy them. He ordered revolutionary suicide, cyanide-laced punch for all. Some drank willingly, others were forced. Parents gave poison to their children. Over 900 died, a third of them children. The ultimate tragic result of Jones's control and paranoia. Jonestown remains a stark warning of how idealism can be twisted into tragedy. The cost of blind faith can be catastrophic. Heaven's Gate shows how gentle beliefs can spiral into horror. Marshall Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles blended Christian apocalypse with UFO mythology, teaching that salvation meant leaving Earth behind. Members surrendered possessions, families, and identities, adopting uniform appearances and strict routines. Applewhite's control was subtle but total. Followers became a crew, waiting for cosmic departure. In contrast, David Koresh's branch Davidians were built on charismatic authority and firepower. Koresh claimed to unlock biblical secrets, overwhelming followers with marathon study sessions and apocalyptic prophecy. He exploited his power, taking multiple wives and fostering a siege mentality. When the government raided Waco, Koresh's prophecy became reality. A fiery standoff killed nearly 80, including many children. Both groups show how apocalyptic visions can lead to devastating ends. The promise of salvation can become a death sentence in the hands of a cult leader. The apocalypse, real or imagined, is a powerful tool for manipulation. Cults have evolved. Today, manipulation thrives in boardrooms, seminars, and online. Keith Raniere's NXIVM looked like self-help, but hid a system of psychological and sexual abuse. Followers paid for advancement, binding themselves financially and emotionally. The Secret Inner Circle, DOS, coerced women into providing damaging collateral and submitting to branding, all under the guise of empowerment. Online influencers and digital cults like QAnon use algorithms to create echo chambers, isolating followers and feeding them a heroic narrative. Financial cults masquerade as MLMs or investment groups using classic tactics, love bombing, us versus them mentality, and emotional hype. High-energy conferences and social pressure keep members invested, even as they lose money and autonomy. The core principles of manipulation, control, isolation, and dependency are thriving in new forms. Modern cults prove that the psychology of control adapts to any era or technology. The tools change, but the playbook remains the same. Awareness is our best defense. No one joins a cult. They join a group promising to fix what's broken inside. The search for meaning, purpose, and community draws people in, especially during times of crisis or loss. Charismatic leaders offer instant belonging and clear answers, targeting those at their most vulnerable. Trauma bonds form as the group becomes a lifeline, making it nearly impossible to leave. Once inside, identity is systematically dismantled. New names, new language, new reality. Cultish jargon creates an insider world, reinforcing the boundary between us and them. Individual identity dissolves into group identity. Thoughts and emotions mirror the leaders. Fear and cognitive dissonance keep people trapped. Admitting the truth would mean facing unbearable loss. It's easier to double down, justifying abuse and believing even more strongly. Even the intelligent and skeptical can fall prey to these tactics. The process is subtle, gradual, and devastatingly effective. Understanding why we follow is key to breaking the cycle. The need for meaning is universal, but so is the risk of manipulation. Escaping a cult is a long, difficult journey, not a single event. Compassionate intervention and exit counseling now replace confrontational deprogramming. Therapists help former members rebuild critical thinking and self-trust, guiding them to question contradictions and abuses. Legal action has become more effective, prosecuting cult leaders for crimes, not beliefs, as seen in the NXIVM case. Therapy is essential for recovery, helping survivors process grief, shame, and trauma, and rebuild their sense of self. Support groups with other former members provide understanding and community. Prevention is the best defense. Education about manipulation tactics builds resilience. Schools are teaching media literacy and critical thinking to help spot coercive control. Open conversations about indoctrination reduce the power of cults. Demystifying manipulation is our strongest shield. Recovery is possible, and so is resistance. The tactics of cults aren't just history, they're everywhere. You'll find them in toxic workplaces, high-pressure sales, and abusive relationships anywhere someone demands loyalty and punishes dissent. Black and white thinking, demands for obedience, and exclusive truths are all red flags. Loaded language and thought-terminating cliches shut down critical thought. Online echo chambers and groupthink can turn digital spaces into cult-like environments. The feeling of being in the know is seductive, but it often costs your independence. Protect yourself by seeking diverse perspectives and questioning group dynamics. Cultivate a strong, independent sense of self, be comfortable with uncertainty and complexity. Value your intuition and walk away from groups that make you feel small or dependent. The power of a cult leader comes from convincing you that you need them. You don't. By understanding their psychology, we reclaim our minds and our lives.